Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Jesus. I've been practicing that backstage. I don't think I got it right, but thank you so much for having me here. And one of the many pleasures of visiting Greece for me, besides being in the homeland of your great tennis player, Stefanos Tsitsipas, he had a great year, is having the chance to move among the remnants of an ancient world. We don't have this in New York, where our oldest relics are coffee houses from the dark ages before Starbucks. We don't even have this in London, where I grew up, and where age is counted in hundreds of years. What's old here is truly old, and it's by the hard work of the Greeks that it has managed to endure. At the same time, no one is defined entirely by the past. All of you who live here managed to remake Greek culture day by day. I have been thinking a lot lately about what lasts from the past and what is remade in the present. I have been thinking about it particularly because this is, in Britain and the US and around the world, a moment of uncertain change. All of us are trying to hold on to our values more than ever in this age when so much risks being washed away. But we are also trying to move forward toward a better world. And I want to talk today about 3 pillars, or this being Greece, I'm going to call them columns, that I believe can help us in the business of creative life. The first column is the old one, which is the past. Not a past that's distant, but a past that lasts and carries through to the present. Fashion, in the eyes of too many people, have become about disposability and a focus only on the here and now, about waste, about excess, about never wearing the same clothes twice in public. The industry has deservedly been targeted for this behavior. But true fashion is about new ideas that will last. It is the opposite of disposable or of fleeting. At Vogue, we have learned to declare 2 values loudly: creativity and craft. Our goal in doing so is to help bring fashion back to its true state. Creativity means that fashion cannot be a product. It has to be human and it has to be personal. It must connect. We wear the things we love often, even in public, because we love them. I think about the work of the great Alessandro Michele at Gucci, which is so original and so personal that it lets a whole new range of people find themselves in fashion. Fashion is not about choosing clothes to suit the demands of others. Fashion is about knowing who you are and declaring who you want to be. Craft means clothes that are made with skill and care and built to last, the opposite of the disposable knockoffs we see everywhere now. And craft is also human. It shows that behind the garment is a person who cared enough to gain mastery. I think of the wonderful Miuccia Prada, who after decades of designing is still doing remarkable and original work. She has something to say and still cares enough to work unbelievably hard to say that well. Clothes of craft, like Miuccia's or those of Tom Ford, another truly enduring talent, endure physically because they are better made, but they also endure because of the effort and the skill that went into them, which gives them a claim on our hearts that lasts and lasts. 2,500 years later, we can still marvel at the Korea at the Acropolis. In fact, the statues remain some of our enduring early reference points for fashion. And one thinks of them every time one sees an asymmetrical pleated summer dress. The same is true of any creative enterprise. We will buy tickets to go see Agamemnon because it's remains moving in its craft and its empathy. Its well-drawn character of Cassandra, the woman who tells the truth, but whom no one believes, still haunts the headlines in 2019. Real creativity, true craft are at the root of everything. What lasts is work that is human and that is built with passion and compassion and with care. So the second column that I want to talk about is the present. It is sustainability, which means thinking about the past and the future in the work that you all do today. Sustainability is not easy to achieve. So many of us may know that what we're doing now is unsustainable, whether it's in the materials we use or the habits with which we work. But we think, I'll fix that tomorrow. Not good enough. Sustainability is about fixing it today. It means starting with a way of life, a set of values, and working outward. In fashion, I have been inspired in sustainability by people like Stella McCartney. Somehow, while raising 4 small children, Stella started her own fashion line because she wanted to take control of her business and to change values in fashion. She began working sustainability into her designs long before it was discussed the way that it is today. She voiced concern about climate change long before the climate was a mainstream talking point. I remember when people rolled their eyes at her sustainable efforts. Stella was the Cassandra of her time, and now she is leading fashion's aesthetic for the future. But Stella is one person, and it took years before she was recognized for what was truly original in her work. And that is what I mean for using sustainability to turn the present towards the future. Sustainability is about doing our best today to create change that really lasts. To us at Vogue, sustainability has come to mean editorial thinking less about the one-off and the fleeting page in our monthly magazines or an Instagram post, then out of mind, and more in the ways of life. We try to focus on the people who reflect our best skills and our best values. We invest in them, and we cultivate continuity where we can. The goal is not to be everything to everybody. It is to be the strongest version of ourselves. Sustainability was the theme of the CFDA Vogue Fashion Fund Design Challenge this year. But really, it has been the Fashion Fund's goal from the very start. When we launched the fund back in 2003, our objective was to bring new energy into an industry that, after the horror of September the 11th and the retail collapse that followed, was on the verge of becoming antiquated, inaccessible to a new generation of designers. We knew that for our industry to be sustainable, we had to build a pipeline for talented young artists, and we were worried about the lack of diversity and inclusion in fashion, which did not promise lasting appeal in an ever more interconnected world. I'm pleased to say that more than 16 years later, the Fashion Fund has indeed become a sustainable source of brilliant new talent in the industry. This year, we were thrilled to name Christopher John Rogers our winner, but the finalists represented an extraordinary group of young designers with a range of backgrounds and of visions. The strength and sustainability to be found in diversity has been our recent focus at Condé Nast too. Our Global Diversity and Inclusion Council, among its many initiatives, works to make sure that we are hiring and supporting people who draw on the full range of brilliance and the talent available to us. We want to be a company that people want to work for. Sustainability also means preparing tomorrow's leaders today. Personally, I've been trying to focus on mentorship inside and outside the company. I loved making my masterclass this year. It's the closest, I suspect, I'll ever get to becoming a professor of anything. More and more, though, I have to ask my children to be professors to me. Who's the brightest young comedian in the wings? Whose music should I be listening to? And what on earth is TikTok? It would be the height of vanity not to tap the knowledge and clarity of thought of the generation that will be tomorrow's leaders. Just look at your Teenage Fridays for Future activists, Ariadne Papatheodorou, who joins young women across the world in telling global leaders to do better. I look at young people like Ariadne and I am in awe. That's why mentorship at Condé Nast goes in two directions. People like myself mentor young employees on what I've learned about leadership, and younger employees can tell us what they know about the future. The idea is to harness all our strengths at all levels and at once, and to create a seamless, sustainable continuity forward. And so to my third column, which is, of course, the future. The commandment here is easy to stay. You've got to stand up for what you believe in. It's harder to do now, especially when everything all of us do is more public than it has ever been before. There is such uncertainty and exposure that many people I know are terrified of making a mistake, terrified of being out in front first. But you can't lead from the middle of the pack. You have to be brave. Sometimes that means making mistakes. Sometimes your idea, like Stella's environmental sustainability, won't be so popular when you first introduce it. But this is the time to engage. We need good leaders now more than ever, precisely because everything is so uncertain. I believe that leadership is positive. It's less about pointing out problems and more about offering better solutions. That's why standing up is setting a good course for the future. It's about listening as openly as you can to as many different views as you can find, and then drawing on your own courage of your convictions. And that is certainly true in fashion. The one thing I can tell you after years and years of shows is that when a designer has a strong and a personal point of view, the rest of us feel that authenticity and that strength of vision. It is a form of leadership. One designer who dares to stand up with a strong vision, one show, can change the direction of fashion. It still brings me such joy to think of Sarah Burton's remarkable show for Alexander McQueen this fall, which dared to tell us all, slow down and carry forward what has been done well for centuries. Sarah worked with the last remaining linen weaver and the last beadler in Ireland to create beautiful, light clothes, entirely like anything else in fashion today, and with all of the right values. This opportunity to influence, not just in the narrow way of the YouTube influencer, but in the sense of leading broader change, has never been greater. Every platform now is global. A women's march imagined in one city in the United States can spread across the world on social media to create a coordinated global push for change. Our amazing magazine, The New Yorker, at Condé Nast, was conceived in the 1920s as a publication for, surprisingly enough, New Yorkers. But now its remarkable reporting is read digitally the instant it comes out in Australia, in India, and in Greece. Instead of fearing the exposure, we must embrace it for the opportunity it is. Young women like Ariadne or Greta Thunberg know this, and they seize the opportunity without fear. The rest of us should follow their lead. So these three columns, the first, craft and creativity, the second, sustainability, and third, standing up for one's beliefs, worked to make the past, the present, and the future one. Together they ground and they motivate us in this uncertain time. So people sometimes ask me whether after more than 30 years at Condé Nast, if I am tired. The truth is that I have never been more energized by the work that we do, because I've never seen more opportunity for change. Our theme for this year's May show at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York, curated by the incomparable Andrew Bolton, is about time, fashion, and duration. And it's about how the past informs the present, how everything from a 1750 British embroidered brocade waistcoat to Nicolas Ghesquiere's brilliant work for Louis Vuitton today is interconnected in one long ribbon of creativity. Even more than usual, this theme resonates with me. So I recently celebrated a birthday, which, as these things do, put me in mind of what lingers and what remains. When I was a young editor, I felt I was perpetually trying to get in front of time, which was my great competitor. More recently, I've come to realize that the passage of time was and always has been my friend. It has made all the petty aspects of life, the momentary embarrassments, the small crisis, fade away. It has carried forward what matters most, the work that lasts and its accumulation, the bond between me and my children, the sense of adventure that still brings me to the office and sometimes to Greece every day. Not so long ago, I had lunch with Meryl Streep. Time and other factors, you might say, have brought Meryl and I together over many years. I am in awe of her, not least due to her voracious mind. Her conversation at lunch ranged from politics to Galileo to the Mayan Empire and the curious fact that no one really had to keep time well until the railways were built. Meryl has never worn a watch, but an illustrious director she just worked with recently gave her one, and she has been wearing it proudly, not to check the hour, but as a reminder of time well spent. I can't think of a higher goal or a truer measure of the work we do. This is our moment to do all we can for the future. Let's do our best to spend the time well. Thank you.